My name is BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic G.I. Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run.
Warning.
Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Whoa! Welcome to episode 80 of Chasing Joe, where we chronicle a man's journey to collect and read every issue of Marvel's 1980s G.I. Joe, a real American hero. There is no order to this madness. The postman brings what the postman brings. So gut up, listener / viewer, step inside my caravan of chaos and let's tape an episode of Chasing Joe. Is there anybody out there?
Yo, it's Chasing Joe, BenFlyingRetro, and S-Chub. Now you know.
Dude, I don't even know where you are on the planet. Are you still in Cape Town or are you in Melbourne? You could be anywhere.
There might be an episode of this podcast we record when I'm in Johannesburg. Hence the namesake, G.I. Joe Berg, anyway. But yeah, no, right now I'm in Cape Town, bro.
Okay, look, well, this is a massive surprise for everyone, but for this week and this week only, we are not a tasty duo. We are a triple threat Big Mac of a show. I think it's time we bring in our super secret special guest.
Whoa, Nelly! It's the chief doggy dog, coming to you live, Chasing Joe.
Finally, the chief has come back to G.I. Joe, kicking and screaming. We got him. He's our biggest booking since we had my wife. We've now got Chief.
Wait till you see the invoice.
Look, I've got invoices coming up the wazoo for Chief because I have been using his likeness in my Whatnot streams, and it costs me £1 every time I use his likeness.
Not sure about that, but we'll see. Not seen any of that return yet.
Chief, I can't quite believe this next sentence that I'm going to say, but there might be some people out there that don't know who you are.
Well,
so
highly feasible, but let's rectify that situation. So cast your minds back, viewers and listeners, to a time before there was a podcast called Talking Joe. And then the brainchild of BenFlyingRetro and the Chiefy Two Shoes, we come up with the idea for Talking Joe. I think you co-hosted for about 20 odd episodes.
Correct.
I did about 109, picked up the S-Jub 7 along the way, picked up Chris McLeod, picked up Mark Funky Bunch, bowed out of that. And like I say, on about episode 109, that podcast is still going. And now here I am on Chasing Joe because you had unfinished business.
Yeah, so basically we're like in some kind of dive bar of podcasting and we're like the X Talking Joes. We're broken.
Yeah.
And we formed a new band.
Yeah, we formed it. It's that tricky second album, the sophomore album. Look, this is a segment of the show that Chief's not going to know anything about, but what I do is I do a cultural zeitgeist from the issue that the postman has dropped off to me. Let's open it up, S-Jubs. Now, I can tell everyone this was a donation because Chasing Joe has been hitting the wallet hard, and Tom Donaldson had to sort me out, pulling the truck, drip feeding a brother. Let's see what he's given me. Oh, Jesus.
Butterfingers.
What do we got? We've got issue 19. It dropped October the 11th all the way back in 1983. We have ourselves a very old comic book here. But before we even mention anything about this book, let me crack you both over the head, chuck you in the frunk of my DeLorean and take us back to October the 11th, 1983. First up for our day of fun, I'm going to take you both to the movie Megaplex, where we are going to see Sean Connery in the unofficial, non-canon James Bond film released that weekend, Never Say Never Again. He is so old in it, but it's so bizarre because simultaneously released was Roger Moore in Octopussy. Now, I know which one I'm seeing. Chief, where you at?
I mean, Roger till I die, basically.
Yeah. I think the weird stat is that Sean, even though he was so old in that, is still maybe younger than Roger Moore.
Younger than Roger. This is a strange but true factoid that I discovered as well.
Yeah. Me and my
But
brother...
Roger
so
just
that
always
is-
carried himself as such a youthful dude.
If someone
even when he
tries
was.
someone tries to tell me that Never Say Never Again is James Bond canon, I would punch them in the face.
I don't think anyone does, though, do they?
I don't know. But look, in Scream 2, we can go and see Tom Cruise in Risky Business, which is worth doing. Do yourself a favor. The Tangerine Dream German synth band soundtrack is incredible. I listen to it maybe daily.
What?
A hot track, Love on a Real Train. Get it in your ear canals. It's so good. Anyway, I'm going to put the radio on in the DeLorean where we're going to be getting Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart. Then I'm going to drag you, S-Jubs, kicking and screaming, to the comic shop. I know you want to go to the toy shop, but I'm going to force you to go into the comic shop where we're going to pick up, along with this, Marvel Age issue 10. Now, I don't know if this is a previews before previews happened, Chief. What is this? What's coming up in Star Wars? What is this? Marvel Age. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I think it's just like it's interviews with creators, some upcoming solicitations for books, maybe some preview
you're
pages,
dropping out there
etc.
on the Intertrons. Drop it. I had a bit of dropout. Sorry.
Yeah,
I got him clean. I think
you got it.
StreamYard's someone.
Okay, fine. Well, look, we're gonna add that to our pull list. What a cover, by the way. We're also
Lovely.
going to pick up ROM issue 50. Now, I only pulled this out because the cover is something that I'm going to need in my house. So straight after this show, I'm on eBay looking for a ROM issue 50. Is that going to be achievable for me, Chief?
ROM, I don't know much about ROM, but it has a bit of a convoluted publishing history in terms of rights. So obviously this was published by Marvel, and I think IDW did some ROM stuff recently, but it also crossed over. You might even find some ROM crossovers with Spider-Man at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure. Wikipedia is probably your best option there, but I believe there were ROM Space Knight toys as well. But
Yeah, they're Space Knights. But does ROM stand for something? No, it doesn't.
No.
So it's just a
I think the
CD
toy came
ROM.
first, if I'm not mistaken. It was a big one and done. It didn't have any other associated toys with it. It was just a big space doll with battery-powered attachments. The
I'll
comic
take
book
a
spun
big
out of
space
that.
doll. That's fine. Okay.
Now, I want to draw
I'm
everyone's
getting a little-
attention because this is going to come up later in the test. In the corner box, it says, warning, surgeons have generally determined that Assistant Editor's Month is dangerous to your health. What's that all about? Well, stick around.
Look, we've done the comic shop. I am going to take us to the arcade next, where we are going to play Star Wars, released by Atari in 1983. Star Wars is a landmark first-person rail shooter arcade game. It's got these kind of 3D color vector-based graphics that simulate the trench run. I think there may have been some surface stuff. The cabinets were insane, and it had this kind of yoke X-wing like joystick thing. Massive memories of playing this. I think in my local pub they may have had it in the downstairs where they had a pool table and some arcade games. Any memory of playing this in the real world, Chief?
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it was hard as balls. It was so tough because you're playing an arcade game. Most of the time, there are no instruction manual. And as we know, when we used to buy new games on the Mega Drive and the SNES, you'd be ramming that cartridge and firing it up, and I'd be there sat in the corner reading the rule book from start to finish because I'm like, I need to know what all the buttons do, what the things is. Arcade game, there is no rule book, so you got to sit in that cabinet. Maybe you watch someone play it, but this was hard. You've already done about 6, 7, 8 quid before you've realised what the buttons do. So
Yeah,
great experience.
I don't think I ever played in that full cab, the actual one that was like an actual X-Wing. I think I just remember like the stand-up
Yeah,
one.
I've never seen the stand-up. I only played it in the cab.
God, man, you were going to the right place. You must have been in like Trocadero, Piccadilly Circus, playing that.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I don't think I'd ever heard speech in a video game before this. So that totally blew my mind. Anyway, we spent enough time in the arcade. Let's finish the day. S-Jub's favourite bit. We're going to go to Toys R Us. A toy that I am not familiar with. I didn't know anyone that had it. It was the G.I. Joe Headquarters Command Center. Looks like it would have been right in my wheelhouse because it looks real world. Is it modular, S-Jubs? Could you build it in different ways? It looks
modular
like
to a limited degree. I mean, you can take away the 2 vehicle bays on the outside, but then you've got 2 gaping holes on the sides.
Yeah.
So they slide in and they sort of finish the facade and finish the sides. But, the conceit is that you have to kind of finish it in your mind anyway. It's got no roof. It's got no back wall. So it's a lovely, substantial playset. But
all these figures
right up the box.
All these figures pictured on the box, were they released around the same time as this, or are they past figures that had already been released?
They look like the 1983 release because you got Torpedo there, you got Stalker, Rock and Roll. I think they all came out in this wave, didn't they?
Yes, we're dealing with basically the first 2 years worth of G.I. Joe figures. And so to populate a base like the HQ, you're basically calling up the entire roster. I mean, we could play the who's who on the box art if you like.
I was just going to say, maybe it's best to buy 2 of these and then you can put them, then you can have a back,
It would be great if they married better. That would definitely be a selling point. But they don't really kind of close up and make a single sealed base.
I don't know if this hit the UK, to be honest with you.
It did in the Action Force line, but under a different color scheme and as a Z-Force headquarters.
Okay.
So it was green with a black mottled camo. Really cool.
I prefer this one, actually. I prefer the kind of steel vibe. Haven't got time now, but I would like to know how many foot pegs it had on, so me and my brother could officially populate it.
I've got time for that. It's 0.
Oh, jeez. Me and my brother would have been interested.
Hadn't really taken off yet, Ben. That was more of an innovation of like 1984 and beyond.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this is right in my wheelhouse. I would have loved to have done, attack and defense on something like this. But alas, I didn't have it. Chief, did you know anyone that had this in the UK?
No, but we did. We substituted this in effect for building our own bases in the garden.
Which is better. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We did our own. Probably more mud-based and sort of fence paneling, but boy, God, we did it.
Look, once you have a 1983 HQ, you wonder what you did before because it's so neat. It has such lovely synergy with all the vehicles released to that point. Yeah. I was very much older when I discovered that the vehicle bay has little like divots and indents in it that basically cradle each piece of equipment in its own specific way. So the flax like tripod kind of stands, the Hal's wheels and stand, the Polar Battle Bear, the Vamp. Each of them have a different spot to park within the vehicle. So it's very
specific to 1983's release.
Yes, and just so people don't come at me in the comments, sorry, I know there were foot pegs on the Hiss Tank and the Dragonfly. Those are both 1983 releases. But yeah, this toy, the base, didn't have any foot pegs.
Oh, they'll drag you through the streets in the comments for getting stuff like that wrong.
No, surely G.I. Joe fans are lenient, aren't they, and forgiving?
No, well, I'll say the Chasing Joe fans have been kind to me, but I like to get it right if I can.
Well, look, we have messed around in 1983 for long enough, and you guys have actually got lives to live in 2026. So let's go all the way back. So this is my 29th donation, so it has not changed the monetary total. Let's do a smell test. Chief, yes, that's what we like to do. How are you reading this? Is this a childhood copy? What form does it take?
So this is my original comics that I have had custom bound, sent to the book bindery, and they will bind them up together, glued and sewn.
Sewn?
What I would actually do, this is back in the day, what I'd actually do is I would take out any page that had an advert on both sides of the page. I would actually remove that with a scalpel, take that page out. Any page that has obviously art on one page, and like that, for example, has art on one page and an advert on the other, you're not taking that out. But I can still see all like the old adverts, left the letters pages in, etc.
Yeah, it looks nice in that leather bound. It's kind of like something Gandalf would have. You need to light a candle. That's good that you're smelling it, because that is a huge part of this show. I usually like to find the center page with the staples, and then we just do a full coverage. Crikey. This one, I'm not joking, this one is full World War II bandages, proper front line. It's like medicinal. What are you getting, S-Jubs?
Mine is clinical as well, because mine is the 2000s Marvel trade paperback. It doesn't smell of nothing.
Okay, so when I said issue 19, does it mean anything to you just off the bat, guys? Does it have any kind of instant, oh, yeah, I like this, that, and yeah?
Well, for me, I had, when I was doing Talking Joe, I was, and you were as well, I was chronicling your scores, and I don't know if I did S-Jubs. Every time we read a separate story, I would put it on a massive ever-expanding list called Every Joe Ever, and Every Joe Story Ever, and would rank them from my favourite all the way down to my least favourite. And so I was looking back to see where I placed this story when I ranked it all those years ago.
Okay.
And
hit us up.
my list had 161 stories on it, and that goes from ARA 1 all the way up to 300, including special missions. So in total, that was 161 separate stories. So if it was a 4-parter, I'd class that as one story. And this one ranked from 161 stories. I put this in a storyline, which was, I called it Cobra's Plan Revealed, issues 16 to 19. So this was the closing part of that 4-parter, and it ranked as number 41 on the list. It was my 41st best story.
That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's high. Wow.
Yeah, as a 4-parter. However, not to rain on people's parades, I've started doing, midway through last year, a complete reread again. Now I'm up to issue 100 in my reread.
Oh, give me the updated.
So the updated one of the 78 stories on my list so far, it ranks as 66. So it's
dropped.
In the bottom third. Yeah,
it's dropped like an
drop.
absolute stone. Yeah. S-Jubs, does this give you any feels? Did you pick this up as a youngster, or is this a book you picked up, in later life?
I only read it when I got the trade in the sort of mid-2000s, but this does wrap up what I regard as my favorite era of G.I. Joe.
Okay.
And it might be a bit slapdash and quick, but, I love that early stuff. And issue 19 feels like the end of that season. If you want to think of Joe books as having seasons, like this is season 1 complete.
Well, look, before we get into the rusty innards of this bad boy, what do we think about the cover? I've got some notes here. It almost looks like a 1983 book with a 1950s sci-fi aesthetic. I love the stark blue, green, and yellow that is popping off this. It's a lot of green shirts. A lot of times we say, S-Jubs, that some of these early issues feel before their time, like a throwback. Are you getting
so nice.
that
vibes? Retro 60s aesthetic?
Yeah, that
Give
kind
me
of
more of that,
action man, army man. But also, I'm here for the, not just seeing the muzzle flash, seeing the kind of laser vibe of some of these guns. I'm here for all of that.
I don't know why Rock and Roll's the only one shooting at Destro.
Yeah, but by the way, that is a sort of very menacing, oversized hiss. Looks great. S-Jubs, what do you think?
Well, you say green shirts, but I think we can all three of us, name check each and every Joe here. Like, it's not one of those covers where everyone's kind of anonymous. No. Clearly, the cover artist is in his straps enough to individuate each character by weapon, by uniform, even by breakers, bubble gum. You're not mistaking him. The his tank is as delightfully deformed as it's ever going to be. they haven't really nailed that just yet, and it's just a lovely signature of like this early phase of G.I. Joe where things are a little bit loose, but it's just a signature style that is of its own.
I really like. Go on, Chief.
Draw your attention to that corner box, top left.
Dude, in my notes, my next comment is check out the corner box creations, because that is the best one I've seen in ages. Yeah.
People listening along, it's not the usual
female.
Grunt.
Yeah.
What is that, cover girl? I don't know.
Well, I've got the answer, gents. I alluded to it when we looked at the Marvel Age issue from October 1983. And it turns out that was Assistant Editors Month at Marvel, where I guess they show love to the people in the trenches, sort of middle management. And the assistant editor on G.I. Joe was a woman called Linda Grant. And that is Linda in that top corner box.
Very cool.
Yeah, one of the only instances of a real person being in the corner box of a G.I. Joe book.
S-Jubs, I'd like that on a trading card. Does that mean anything to you? Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. Look, it's about time.
I'm not looking. I'm buried in the...
We're going to open up this issue and we're going to get into its innards. Now, we've got Mike Vosberg on the art stick. Now, he is right in your wheelhouse, S-Jubs, because you love these ye old issues and the visual aesthetic that they bring. Tell me why.
Yeah. I guess I like... I know I'm contradicting myself because I love when things are rendered perfectly to their toys, but Mike Vosberg gets a pass because it's just such a signature, like... what's his name? King Kirby kind of style. And that works for a book that, while G.I. Joe is a toy, or G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, is a toy of the 80s, it absolutely has its roots in the 60s. And so this is a lovely, like, I don't know, it does nice things to my brain to have those two eras smashed together.
Well, can you do something nice to my brain? Can you do one of your special, beautiful synopses of this issue, just to help us out?
In the previous issue, Scarface was abducted by the Joe team, but unbeknownst to them, he's carrying a plague toxin. However, he's unwilling plague carrier, so he spills the beans to the Joes, and they use this as an opportunity to bait Cobra into an attack. See, Cobra's wanting to learn the location of the pit, right? And they're going to do this by having the pit basically declared a quarantine zone. So Joe decides to do Cobra's plan anyway and tip them off as to the location of the pits. But instead of letting Cobra discover the underground lair, they decide to build this HQ on top and have Cobra assault it. All the while, we've got Quinn and Snake Eyes taking their revenge on Dr. Venom. Dr. Venom manages to turn the tables on them and send them into battle inside snake armors. A lot of things happen in this issue, but the upshot of it is Venom dies, Quinn dies, General Flag dies, and somewhere in the rubble, Scarface also bites the dust. But by the end of the issue, Cobra gets away, thinking they've scored a major victory. G.I. Joe know that the secret of the pit is safe, and I guess this makes the very neat conclusion of season 1 of G.I. Joe, as we spoke about.
Bravo, S-Jubs. You do what no one else
Herculean
can
task,
do.
that one.
That's good. I don't need to read this sucker now. Look, my notes for this is just like, it's a nice first page. We got green shirts, shifting steel. Now, are they building what we just talked about?
Yes.
Yes. That's some good synergy right there. Lot of toys in this issue, S-Jubs.
Miraculous timeline to how much work they can get done.
Yeah. Why are they
This is
talking...
an anticipation of an attack, and they're going to build this entire prefab structure.
Yeah, but they're talking in like ye old pirate talk here on this first page. What's the joke there?
Who in particular?
Snowjob Doc, that be looking like the Baroness. You be wheeling in. They keep saying be all the time.
Well,
bizarre.
that be gung-ho, man. And he's got
Yeah.
that... I mean, they flag it on the page, like... Doesn't it ever bother you how gung-ho turns on that crawdaddy gumbo accent like a faucet?
Yeah, I tell you what, Baroness is mummified
she's
on
in
that
trouble.
gurney.
Yeah.
Holy
Doc has a very
smoke.
weird speech bubble here.
Yeah, it's tough to read. Actually, tough to read. Yeah, there's a lot
No
of...
one wants to give it a go.
Bit of
Okay.
jive talk in your book.
Yeah, go on, S-Jubs.
I thought you guys liked a bit of jive talk in your book.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I do. I know Chief does for sure. But look, I do love when you strip. There's actually quite a lot going on in this issue. They're tying up a lot of stuff. It's quite convoluted, but underneath it all, when you peel it back from a play point of view, I do just love in these early issues how it is about essentially finding each other's base. Each other's secret base is the goal. Cobra just want to find the pit. That's all they really want to do. And I like the kind of the ruse in this one. It's ridiculous. You know, they are building that base and they've built it on the lift platform. Then they're going to raise it up and make Cobra think that that is the entirety of the G.I. Joe base. Am I correct, S-Jubs?
Yes. And there's something very toyetic about playing the toy as the toy's actual dimensions. They're not trying to fool anyone that it's a gargantuan stand-in. You know, like this isn't scaled down. This is actually the toy's dimensions and being used on the page, which is interesting. It's an interesting approach. Like the G.I. Joe cartoon went the other way. Like they used the 1983 HQ as a kind of I guess just a design template for something gargantuan, something massive.
I would like to throw a dart at the biggest and the baddest, Chief, Armageddon, and just try and figure out why that score has come down so heavily. Now, I think it possibly could be that he had a lot of love for the Quinn character, and that love has now gone, and he doesn't like that aspect of this issue. Could I be onto something there, Chief?
I'm not sure. Now, don't forget, I've ranked that based on the 4 issues as a whole, not this issue.
Of course, you're doing an
individually.
arc.
Yeah, so I'm ranking what I class as the story arc. So, yeah, I think this issue is probably one of the better ones of the 4. Vosberg's art is... Look at this page you're showing here. It's fantastic. He fills each panel up. You're definitely getting bang for your buck when you spent the 60 cents that you did on this issue back in the day. He's really going to town here. The colors are great. The lettering's fantastic. So I think overall this issue is good. And like S-Jub says, it kind of ties up some story threads and stuff, especially with killing off the characters. So kind of a nice clean finish. Is this the first appearance of the Pack Rats?
It has to
First
be.
appearance Pack Rats and first appearance Snake.
Okay. What are this is a gap in what are the names of the 3 Pack Rats?
So you got the flamethrower Pack Rats,
Yeah.
the missile launcher Pack Rat, and the machine gun Pack Rat. And
Oh, it's
Larry
literally up
kindly gives them distinct functions. Machine guns to fire at all viewports and external sensors. Missiles to destroy treads and drive mechanisms. Flamethrowers to neutralize ventilation systems and engine air intakes. Like,
Who's
cool,
controlling
man.
these suckers?
They're automated,
They are
they?
remote controlled. I don't think this is an AI weapon. These are they're handheld controls that someone inside the HQ would be using.
Here we go. Actually, yeah, we've never used these remote weapon systems before. Can they do the job? That's it. Chuck in some completely untested, completely never battle ready bits of equipment. Stalker, we're about to find out. Good one.
I have always loved these kind of things in toy lines because, you know, when you're in Safeway and you're jonesing for a toy, you know, your mum might actually get you one of these because they're a nice price point. I remember loving all of the Empire Strikes Back ones of these type of things. But again, I didn't actually have any of these, S-Jubs.
I still don't.
These are so early.
I had a couple, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I think all of this thing from a play point of view is super fun. And look, we are in full toy advert from Larry here with a lot of this stuff. Each one is effectively getting its own go and buy this right now.
Can I venture anyone to tell me what the snake stands for?
Oh, I had it
System,
Yes.
neutralizer,
Yes.
armed,
Yes.
cloaking equipment. And that's
Boom, boom,
the
boom.
noodle.
Nailed it.
I think.
Yeah.
How?
Cloaking with a K.
Look, we all noticed it, and I'm sure you did. One of those was walking funny. And that was how we knew that it was Snake Eyes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a problem for me. Like, the idea is that you can put your enemy, like, you can put G.I. Joes in a snake, and they are brainwashed into working for Cobra. But in order for that to be an effective use of a prisoner, like, the Joes you are fighting against need to be able to see inside. They need to be able to see that one of their pals is in there.
That's the mechanic that I always forget with these things. They're freaking brainwashing you whilst you're in there. Awful. I always just look at them and think, oh, these are cool, like, battle mechs that you'd pop in a Cobra Trooper in. But they're actually brainwave devices.
I guess it only works in hindsight. Like, if you destroy a snake on the battlefield, you rip it open, and you find, oh, one of my dead buddies is in here, then it becomes a sort of a morale crushing weapon.
Yeah.
So, like,
And
next time
maybe
you
that's a
reticent to open
storyline
fire
that
on
could
a
have
snake
been-
armor.
That was a storyline that could have been, an interesting one for sure.
I do feel like we're on the fringes of sci-fi here, but I do like that with these early issues before they really bed into what it is going to be for the future. There's a couple of these early issues where, I like the sci-fi fantasy element of how those visually look. They probably could be more at home in Star Wars than G.I. Joe, but I like the kind of... Go on.
I was going to say, speaking of sci-fi, I've just turned the page here. It's a 10-second interjection. From a action figure point of view, S-Jubs, do you remember this? Crystar.
Crystar, never had them. They look stunning, though.
Okay.
I love a translucent figurine.
Yeah,
With, like,
some of these
clear
figures
plastic.
look wild.
Yeah, I have absolutely no memory of those. Not sure if they even hit the UK.
Definitely before my time, but I have seen them courtesy of things like Toy Fair magazine. They look intriguing, but my question is, like see-through plastic is brittle as. So I don't imagine they're holding up too well.
And
Probably very
morning,
fragile.
Ben, you were talking about the mobile battle center, and it appears in this issue. You were talking about James Bond at the cinema, and in this issue, look, James Bond role-playing game.
RPG?
Oh, wow. Look at the art.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
S-Jubs,
A little
I'm
bit
just
generic, but
interested,
definitely giving off like Roger Moore vibes, right?
Yeah.
why do you like a translucent figure? You like to be able to see through stuff.
Yeah, see-through is cool.
Well, look,
see-through
dude, look
means
what I
that
got
they're
here.
using some-
See if you can see through this. That is a Havoc clear cut. Check this out. Get this blow your mind. Are you ready for this? Look at that.
Are you a
pal.
magician? David Blaine's in Bournemouth, one night only.
If you like clear stuff, get yourself A Marvel Masterpieces 92 Platinum clear cut. In fact, I'll send you one, S-Jubs. What character do you want?
Spider-Man.
Iceman.
Do you want Iceman? Because I've got an Iceman. Right, I'll send you an Iceman clear cut. Not a problem. I just think any toy that has translucent plastic in use is going to not have aged well, S-Jubs.
Look, yeah, it's true, and among them is my Iceman action figure, but let me just say that this is the reason why I like clear plastic. The
Right.
X-Men 1992 or 3 release of Iceman from Toy Biz, one of the greatest X-Men figures of all time as far as I'm concerned.
But where's his articulation?
He's
Knees
got
and the elbows.
crotch, knees, he's got shoulders, he's got elbows, he's got head.
Okay. He still looks quite stiff.
Yeah, dude, well, that's typical of the time.
Yeah, fine. Well, I tell you what, I'll raise you that. And I actually picked this up with the Chief. And I never told you, Chief. I ripped his head off. I broke it.
Why?
I should have warmed it up. I don't know what happened. So in the blister pack, he had his Logan exposed head. So I took that off and then went to put this one on. And it was just so tight. It was ridiculous. And I've twisted his head. The ball joint didn't move and it's snapped. So
Well, it looks all right.
yeah, it looks all right as you can't move it or touch it or do anything with it.
Well, can you not put a different head on?
No, you can't. Yeah. Look, the ball joint is gone to a wire. You can't move it.
Take it back. Take it back. Claim it was broken.
Yeah, well, what I should have done is heat it up. Do you remember like what you did with your Boba Fett head?
Yeah.
You had to heat it up, didn't you, to de-warp it?
Yeah, that's right.
I think you actually had a nightmare with that, and it just looked worse. But anyway, there you go. That's action figs. Right, what left in my notes on this issue?
We're all showing action
Look
figs.
at the size of that Hulk.
That is a
Marvel
Marvel
Legends.
Legends Hulk compared to a 6-inch Stormtrooper, same scale.
Yeah,
Wow.
jeez. That's got a lot of heft.
That's a chunky
He's
piece
got
of
Heavy
plastic
as,
right there.
man. You could whop a burglar over the head with a Hulk. He wouldn't know what's going on.
Wow.
Hulk smash.
Yeah, Hulk smash indeed.
What's the crescendo of this issue? It's the big Cobra attack on the pit, and we've got big, oversized hiss tanks. We've got Destro riding them in like they're sort of a chariot. We've got all the stuff going on with the Weasel Spirit. But my notes just at the end, with a big skull and crossbones, just say death. We're getting multiple deaths here, which I am totally down for. I'm a big fan of Major Blood being so cunning and evil and just, macking Scarface in the back because it's a single-seated Fang helicopter.
Oh, it's even colder than that, Ben. Scarface, he leaves down in the sort of the brig of the HQ, chained up.
Of course, he just takes out the pilot, yeah.
He takes out the pilot because there's only space for him and the stretcher-bound Baroness. So
Well, as
this
you
poor
would, though.
sapper is planting an explosive, totally unbeknownst to him. Blood sneaks up, friendly fire, shoots him in the back, takes his helicopter. That's cold, man. That's Major Blood for you.
Yeah, and how
Rock and blood.
how does General Flag exit?
Well,
Grenades?
if
No.
the gunshot from Major Blood didn't kill him, the explosion certainly did.
Yeah, good.
Oh, no, wait, no, sorry. He gets dragged out by Doc. It's Scarface that gets left behind and dies off panel when the bomb goes off. It's tragic. Like, Doc has to make this decision. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. I can't release your bonds because Major Blood took the keys.
Yeah, he can't.
That's on Doc's conscience. Damn, man.
But also, we get the standoff between Quinn and Venom, which ends with it's a double takedown. Venom shooting Quinn, but then clutch moment, he's got a grenade. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, guys. Reading this today, I'm like, your whole modus operandi, your whole goal was to exact some kind of revenge on Dr. Venom. Then you face him down and you decide, actually, you know what? My thirst for revenge has left me. So I'm just going to walk away. Dr. Venom's not the kind of guy you turn your back on.
No, but
No.
also that panel, you're right, because where he's got Venom the page before, and he says, "Take your miserable life, Venom. I give it back to you to squander as you will." And then you're right, yeah. So that panel there, that second one down. So he's like you say, he's forgiven. He's like, I can't bring myself to do it. I'm a better man. And then when Venom on the next page has his Luger and shoots him in the back, what was Quinn doing with the grenade? What was he about to do with the grenade? Why had he pulled the pin?
Is he happy to go out like this? Is he basically predicting what is going to happen? He's given Venom the choice, and Venom has taken.
Oh, of course, he'd pulled the pin a few pages back. Of course, so apologies. He was going to blow them both to Kingdom Come together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Quinn's a complex individual, and unfortunately, we'll never get answers because he did. But this is strange to me. Was he always suicidal? Was this how he wanted to end it?
That's what I mean. I think that's what I'm saying. That he basically knew that he was going to make that choice, so he pulled the pin anyway.
Yeah, he's caught between Joe and Cobra. He's a mercenary. His life is not worth a nickel at this point. So yeah, he makes sure he takes Venom with him. But it does it in a kind of a poetic sense because he vows to never kill Venom while Quinn is still alive.
Yeah.
But he takes him with him once he's snuffed out, once he's dead. So, the grenade rolls out of the hand of a dead man.
Yeah. And yet, the very last panel, Snake Eyes offers up Quinn's weasel skull necklace. So that is clearly made of like some kind of indestructible material because it was round Quinn's neck.
Looks
when
in good
the grenade
nick.
exploded and atomized him, except for that necklace, which is made of sterner stuff.
That's the weasel spirit, my friend.
Yeah.
Now,
Adamantium skeleton, probably.
S-Jubs, do you have a Quinn action figure in your collection that satisfies you? Because you didn't get nothing in 1983. Quinn is nowhere to be seen.
So, in terms of Quinn action figures, I've had two in my possession. The one is an O-ring figure that mainly uses Big Ben's parts.
But has he
and
got
tops it off-
heft?
No, exactly. It doesn't. And
well, that's
what's
not gonna
worse is
work.
it comes from the comic pack era of the early 2000s, where the heads were all very detailed, but very, shrunken down.
That's not going to work.
No. Also, it's in his kind of Arctic duds, which are fine if you play him in that Panic at the North Pole kind of situation. But he spends most of his time in those jungle khakis, sort of safari suit.
I prefer the
So
snow.
that's the one you want.
No, not
They
for me,
gave
buddy.
you that in the Retaliation movie line because they were doing sort of comic book inspired figures in conjunction with Dwayne Johnson inspired figures.
Hang
so
on
you
a
did
minute.
get one in the modern construction.
Surely there's a classified Quinn by now, isn't there?
Negative.
Wow.
But this is mainly the terrain that Super 7 are currently treading, taking characters that haven't seen much action figure treatment from the comic books and cartoons and plugging it into their O-ring
What
throwback
would be
line.
an example of that then, recently?
Ooh,
Who have they done this
recently-
obscure? Oh, I know. You mean like those little alien creatures from Pyramid of Darkness and stuff like that?
Yeah, the Fatal Fluffies.
Yeah, so they're doing
They
things
had
like
a-
that. Okay.
Ramar from the Mass Device. Most recently, in this last wave, they've taken a specific, comic-specific Hydra Viper from the Action Force books. Like he's in a very pink hue. Because there was a sort of an individual Hydra Viper in those books. He was kind of flanked by a whole bunch of eels. But they treated Hydra Viper as like the commander of that detachment. So that's that's interesting. That's from Action Force Monthly.
Okay,
Mara from the cartoon series. So Shipwreck falls in love with a Cobra test subject who can't breathe on land. She has gills. They did that in Super 7.
Jeez. Okay,
Obscure.
I don't have any Super 7 G.I. Joe figs. Do you have quite a lot, S-Jubs?
A handful. No, I've picked and chosen. I haven't really leaned into it too heavily because they're expensive, man. The appeal
Okay.
of G.I. Joe O-ring figures back in the day was like a couple of quid or a couple of bucks, you could have a carded figure. These retail at $25 a pop, which puts them almost in the same price bracket as a classified figure. In classified figure, you're getting more plastic, a bigger figure, more accessories. But I suppose
Yeah.
Super 7 have to pay their licensing fees somehow. And they're also notoriously like boutique and expensive. So
Yeah.
it's not the same hit as like being able to go to the supermarket and pick up a G.I. Joe.
Chief, would I be right in thinking that you have sold most of your O-rings, but what are the few that you've kept for nostalgia purposes? You must have about 5 or 6, I'd imagine.
And no, more than that. Anything
Okay.
from series 1 or 2.
Okay, nice. So you actually haven't sold anything from Series 1 or 2?
I don't think so. No. No.
Well, look, you got some space in those display cabinets behind you. You should get them in there.
Should get them up there, yeah. Yeah, I've got some new
those-
display cabinets coming. Get them up there, yeah. Why not?
Well, those ones look-
next time I guest appear, in a year's time, we'll see a fully stocked cabinet.
But why are they so empty? They need to be full of figs.
Yeah, I don't know where all the Street Fighter ones are gone. I was full of Street Fighters.
£100 a pop.
£100 a pop, yeah.
£100 a pop for an E Honda. Now, I took a
collectible,
school dad down to Chinatown yesterday on a Street Fighter 2 cabinet. He didn't
And when you
know
said to
what
Chinatown,
was
you weren't
going
buying
on.
him a Chinese dinner.
No. I said to him, I was like, who are you going to pick? You look like a Ken or Ryu guy. And he was like, no, I was always douse him. And I shook his hand. I was like, respect. I've never met anyone that was douse him.
But then you thought, I'm going to put a whooping on you now.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'll just be Ryu and play a range game. Fine.
No one wins as dousing.
No, bro. I've got a buddy that is a contrarian, and not even he plays as Dowsim.
Right.
S-Jubs,
Well, I
you're
might do
pure
now. I
Ken.
might start now.
You're Ken or Guile. That's clear to me. I don't need to even
Sure.
ask. Of course you are. USA, you played Guile because he was the closest thing to a G.I. Joe character.
You bet. Also, Blanca had such appeal.
Did he?
Yeah. Just to
Okay.
be able to electrocute mofos.
Yeah,
I got
fair.
a sealed.
What's he got?
What's he got?
Something that's sealed. Well, I've got something that's sealed.
It's toy time, folks.
It's toy time. This is sealed. Look at that.
A Ninja
That's a
Force
s-
slice and a... What was it? Blanca.
Yeah. So you
made
had that, Chief. That arrived in your house, I'm saying, over 18 months ago.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not got around to opening it yet.
Yeah, over 18 months ago. He does not get round to opening up his £100 Storm Figs
I might do it today.
that often. You should do, but if you do, you make sure the camera's rolling, buddy.
Okay,
Because I want to see a review of that fig.
sure.
Nah, man. Enjoy your toys. Doesn't always have to be for content. Do we have anything else we want to say about this ish, boys?
No, I was
feel
going to say let's close the loop on this book. So
Last page. I'll show you this quickly. You'll have this in. I don't know if
Okay.
you've got this in your.
G.I. Joe classified file.
Yeah, have you got that in
Beautiful
your
art.
No. Do I?
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I can put that up. Sweet.
You probably got a better res version. Yeah.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes is proficient in 12 different unarmed fighting systems and is highly skilled in the use of edged weapons.
Now,
Oh,
would
this is
anyone
awesome.
out in the Joe world be able to tell us what those 12 fighting systems are, do you think?
Yes, systems. So not martial arts. Systems. Do you know about that, S-Jubs? How many systems do you know?
So, whenever we see the file cards that make it onto the back of the packaging, those are truncated quite severely. I imagine Larry's full dossier for Snake Eyes actually individuating those systems.
Right, well, there you
Because
go.
Larry's a
Listeners,
martial artist
viewers,
himself.
get it
We
in
know
the
what he's talking
comments.
about.
Let us know what those 12 systems are.
Yeah,
Gosh.
the 12 fighting systems of Snake Eyes. Get that in the comments.
Right. Anyone meeting Larry at a convention anytime soon? See if you can get the
He
list out
doesn't
of him.
remember what those 12 are. He doesn't remember writing them
He
down.
might, or he might just make them up on the spot.
Yeah,
He doesn't know what he did last week, let alone back then with the 12 specialist systems of Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
Look, it has been a great honour to have Armageddon Chief, biggest and baddest 8 pairs, 2 shoes, back, talking about G.I. Joe.
Well, thanks for inviting me on, fellas. I hope I didn't derail it too much.
No. You kept it on the rails. But until next time, S-Jubs, what is there left to say apart from a big bad Yo Joe?
Cobra.
Yeah, that was nice. That was very nice. We will see you next week.